What everybody wants to know is how much is their house worth. So in January, the median list price was $499,000. That is up 5% from last January. However, what is up? My name is Derek Sanderson, and I'm a realtor with eXp Realty serving the greater Chico, California area. And it's my passion to help educate, equip, and empower people just like you to make the best decisions possible. And so with that in mind, every Monday we take a few minutes and look at what's happening with the single family residential market here in Chico, California. Before we jump in, if you would do me a big favor, if you wouldn't mind liking, subscribing, and commenting, I would greatly appreciate it. But without further ado, let's go. So let's jump in for today, Monday, February 3rd. So as of about 10 o'clock this morning, we only have 86 active homes on the market with 65 that are under contract. Now, for those 86 active listings, our median list price is coming in at $587,000 and an average days on market coming in at 100 days. Now let's take a step back and look at what's gone on in the last 7 days here in Chico. We've only had 10 new homes hit the market and 12 have gone under contract. We've also seen 7 price reductions and 9 homes close. Now, it is the first Monday of a new month, so we're going to look at what happened in January of 2025. So in January, we had 45 homes sell. That is up almost 22% from January of last year. And the average days on market also crept up a little bit to 48 days on market. That's great. 45 homes sold, 48 days on market. But what everybody wants to know is how much is their house worth? So in January, the median list price was $499,000. That is up 5% from last January. However, that median sales price came in at $485,000, which is only up 1.5%. And when we're talking numbers like this, that's fairly nominal. So I would consider the sales price pretty much even with where we were last January, even with the increase in the number of home sales. Okay, now this is the number of homes that sold. This just gives you a quick snapshot of the price points that are the most active. And there you can see that $400,000 to $500,000 range. We had the most amount of homes sell here in Chico. And this next slide shows you another interesting snapshot. This is the price that it sold at, whether it was under the asking price, at the asking price, or over the asking price. Now, in January, we saw an anomaly happen in that $400,000 to $500,000 range. The vast majority of homes that sold in that price range actually sold for under asking. And part of that reason is they were overpriced to begin with, and they actually sat on the market a little bit longer. And so the sellers ended up having to accept a price that was under what their asking price was. And it's interesting in that $300,000 to $400,000 range, the majority of homes actually sold over asking. So pricing your home correctly is absolutely vital if you want to get the most amount of money possible. And number of new listings. So this is looking at the last 6 years, going back to 2020, and you can see there 58 homes came on the market, grand total in the month of January. That is up from last year, or down just a little bit from last year, but up from 2023. And you can see that there on the left side of your screen. And what about homes that sold? So we had 45 homes sell in January. That is up by a few from last year. So if this trend continues, this is going to be good news for the housing market here in Chico, but time will tell. And interest rates. So total disclaimer, I am not a licensed loan officer. However, as a real estate agent, I believe that it's important that I at least have a basic understanding so that I can articulate to my clients what's going on. So all this data is pulled from mortgagenewsdaily.com. And as of about 10:30 this morning, that is our national average at 7.05%. Now, we had a bunch of economic data come out last week that kind of helped bring this rate down. And here you can actually see what happened in the last 6 business days. There you can see we're down just a little bit day over day. But what I want to point out is that far column right there in green. It is still more expensive to borrow money today to buy a home than it was a year ago. Not much more expensive, but it's definitely still a little bit more expensive. And this is just a look at January 3rd, 2024, all the way to February 3rd of 2025. There you can see this year, January 13th, we really hit our peak at 7.26% so far. I really think we're going to hang out in the low mid sevens. We might even drop under seven to the high sixes. But I think this is the territory we're going to live in for the majority of this year. And every Monday, I post a motivational quote, and this week's by Tony Robbins. The only thing that's keeping you from getting what you want is the story you keep telling yourself. My man, Tony Robbins, hitting us between the eyes again. The reason I wanted to share this quote is because it rings true for me. I found that when the story that I'm telling myself in my head is negative and it's demeaning, and it's honestly, I would never say those things to anybody else. Things like, you're worthless, you don't measure up, you're unlovable, you're unworthy, people are going to reject you, you cannot be successful. Or sometimes I have a goal, and as I'm envisioning it, I'm envisioning failure. I'm envisioning me not succeeding or being rejected. And the truth is, whatever we focus on expands. It's called self-fulfilling prophecy. And so I want to encourage you, because I found that in moments when I sit down and actually analyze and take a look at what is that story I'm telling myself, when it's been negative and I determine and become intentional with changing that story, I come in the opposite spirit. That if it's discouraging and tearing me down, then I change that story to be encouraging and successful and begin to self edify and build myself up. Things begin to change. I begin to look at life differently. I begin to carry myself differently. And ultimately, I become successful. I begin to achieve those goals. But again, if I continue to allow that story inside of my head to hold me back, to push me down, I'm never going to achieve what I want to achieve. And I'm never going to become the man that I want to become. And I believe that's true for every single human being that's walking the earth. So, would you do me a favor? Would you accept the challenge of this week? Would you sit down and just take a second and go, what is the story that I'm telling myself, and how can I change it so that it better serves me instead of hinders me? And that's all I got for you for this week's market update. Once again, my name is Derek Sanderson, and it's my passion to help educate, equip, and empower people just like you to make the best decisions possible. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you very, very soon.